Welcome everyone to today's first video. In today's first video we're going to be looking at the weather for the next month. So we're going to be doing your 42 ECMWF forecast. So 42-day forecast coming up right here. So we're not going to waste any time, so we are going to get into this just now. So this is week 1. This is the 25th to the 1st of 25th of December to the 1st of January, and we are looking like this. So we have got high pressure to the west of Greenland up here. Got a little bit of blocking trying to appear to the north of Scandinavia, as you can see up there. But mostly we've got a lot of low pressure in the Atlantic, and we're looking quite westerly, quite mild for a lot of the south and the middle of the country. But to the north, we have got a bit of a northeasterly just starting to pull in there. So that could be a little bit cooler because we have got a lot of cold air sitting in Scandinavia at the moment. So it will actually be just wrapping into the northern half of the country. So it could turn a little bit colder with that actually. So that's quite interesting. So now let's show you the precipitation based on that chart. And that looks like this. There's not really much change there, as we're very wet mostly. We're a little bit drier than northwest and North Scotland, but that is obviously because them northeasterly winds from up in Scandinavia will make it a little bit cooler and probably a bit quite cold for the north. So it's quite dry with Scandinavia, but a lot of Europe at the moment is quite wet, except from the south. Greenland's a bit drier than average, but mostly very wet, windy and unsettled. Let's show you the temperatures based on that. Looking like this. So once again, as I said, we have got that sort of northern England, Scotland, what actually are going quite cool on Northern Ireland as well. So I'll circle here. If it's going quite colder towards the end of this week in this area here, I would say it in the UK. So it will be wherever that line's drawn just there. We could see a little bit of snow into the new year, but it's just a bit uncertain at the moment. So most of Europe very, very hot at the moment, but we are mostly above average in the south, but it is getting a bit more average towards northern England, southern Scotland, but most of Scotland's quite below average and going a bit cooler. So that is quite interesting towards the end of week 1. So we'll show you week 2 right now. Week 2 looks like this. So this is the 1st to the 8th of January. So this is actually going a little bit more interesting, with high pressure actually starting to try and build towards Greenland up here, as you can see, and a bit of high pressure towards Siberia over there. High pressure backing off south actually. Lets this trough of low pressure to sort of dig in and drop through the country, and that'll probably bring in a lot of the country colder northeasterly, but the south could just hang on to them westerly. So I'll probably draw a line about there. The line of probably be about there. So that's a bit more interesting for week 2 as well. So I'll show you the precipitation based on that right now. Looking like this. So once again there is that little bit of a split. So once again, where that line is in the south is going to be very wet, but to the north, where the northerly wind is going to be a little bit drier with that, and in the middle it's around average, maybe a little bit above average rainfall, precipitation, maybe a little bit of snow if the temperatures do drop further enough. Once again, quite a lot of Europe is very, very wet. Scandinavia actually a little bit drier. Norway, Sweden, probably Spain and Portugal, they're looking below average. Everywhere is quite wet at the moment, but we could see a change if this SSW does come off. So to keep an eye on that. So this is week 2 temperatures looking like this. So there is that split once again, as you can see. So we've got bitterly cold air over Scandinavia, very cold towards Greenland as well at the moment. Maybe a bit warmer there. Maybe a bit of blocking starting to appear towards up here. But we are mostly mild for the south and the Midlands. But there's that line once again in between this area. It will just depend where that line is, where it is cold and where it is mild. But the definitely going to be colder for Scotland. The signal will be weakening a little bit as we are going quite far ahead now at this point. So we'll show you week 3 just now. Week 3 is going to look like this. Wow, and week 3 looks very interesting indeed. So that high pressure, what we saw building a little bit to the north, this is probably an effect of the SSW, what we could see, and we take high pressure up to Greenland, big blocking feature just there. That's definitely probably because of the SSW. It might not be, but it's most likely because it is huge mid-Atlantic ridge. We're dropping a trough of low pressure south to southern Europe like that, and we are letting the wind switch into the northeast for most of the country. And if that did come off, we would probably see quite a lot of snow in the east. But because of direction, with lots of low pressure sliding through, I would think, and a lot of troughs inside, that we'll probably see very cold throughout the whole country and quite a bit of winteriness if that did come off. So that is quite interesting. So here's the precipitation based on that. So it's looking like this. So it does go drier, but that's no surprise. Once again, down the east coast you can see it is about average, maybe a little bit above average precipitation. And in the south where the low pressure will be coming through. But most of the country is around average or a little bit above average, not much though. A bit drier than average actually, so that is a big change to what we have been seeing. But with them troughs of low pressure around, it probably would be getting quite interesting with that. So the temperatures are looking like this. Wow, 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 look at the temperatures here. Extreme cold over Scandinavia, and if we kept that wind in from the north, I would expect these temperatures to sink towards us as well. But as you can see, a big change from milder through the whole of Europe to the milder actually retreating all the way to the southeast and far south of Europe, and pulling them winds in from a bitterly cold northeasterly, and that'll probably be definitely taking the whole of the country and the whole of the United Kingdom cold just there. So that is very interesting now. So now we are getting quite far ahead, but we are going to show you week 4. Will this signal carry on? Will it turn even colder? Let's find out. The answer is yes, and we actually probably strengthen the blocking towards Greenland, maybe sinking a little bit westwards, but it's not really affecting much. It's really actually opening the air to even colder northerlies coming in, pushing down from Scandinavia with cold air, Arctic air, probably originating from all the way up in the Arctic Circle there, pushing down into the United Kingdom. Now keeping it very cold with this trough of low pressure over Europe. So that is once again looking very cold. Let's look at the precipitation based on that, and it is looking like this. So that looks very interesting, doesn't it? So we got maybe a bit of dry average in the west, but around the west coast and the east and the whole country is about average. But as it's cold, a lot of that precipitation would be falling as sleet or snow. So that would be very interesting if this did come off. So let's go and show you the temperatures, see what they're looking like. Once again, the signal is getting a bit weaker here, but once again, the temperature's looking very cold over Scandinavia. Most of the country is probably colder than average, but it is a bit iffy as we are getting near to the mid-end of January. So with a northeasterly wind, it'll definitely be colder than average. But the signal is weakening. So once again, it's cold with that. So now let's have a look at week 5. Week 5 keeps the cold. Very interesting. With that blocking signal strengthening over Greenland, maybe even getting a bit heights rising towards Scandinavia as well, bringing them winds in from the northeasterly there. Maybe a bit northwesterly for the west just there, as you can see with that high pressure. A lot of frost involved for the west there, but still snow showers will be coming in from the east. Very, very interesting. If this comes off, then it's a very, very cold January, what we could experience here. Looking very, very unusual, actually. We haven't seen these charts for quite a while. Let's see what the precipitation is looking like based on that. There's not much signal. A bit drier in the Atlantic and over Greenland where that blocking is. You see hints of a bit above average precipitation in the east, but we're around average, so not much really to say with that. It's a bit in the middle really, so we're not really going to say much with that. I'm not really sure what that's gonna figure out in the end, so we won't say much more about that. But the temperatures are looking like this. Once again, it looks like it's probably going to be cold for us once again. With the milder air is in the Atlantic, but the signal's weakening, so I wouldn't think that would be very accurate. Mild air to the south of us, but with them northwesterly, northeasterly, northerly winds, and northeasterlies are probably going to keep the wind in from the northeast, and that'll probably still be colder than average, but the signal's getting weak, so there isn't really much signal. But for me, that's definitely going to be colder than average if that situation does come off. Definitely into the end of January as well. So let's show you the final week, week 6. This is getting very, very unlikely it comes off at this point, because it's that far in the future, but we'll still look at it just for a bit of fun. So let's show you right now. So this is week 6, the Monday the 29th of January to the 5th of February. So into February here, well into the new year, and it's looking, once again, that blocking signal over Greenland is very, very strong. Probably because the SSW is still hanging on just there. And it's probably going a bit drier because of the high pressure near, but we're still dragging the winds in from the north and more of an easterly direction, so probably more snow showers coming in with that now, and more troughs of low pressure sliding through the channel. So that is very, very interesting just there, as you can see. So that'll be very, very, very interesting to see if that actually comes off, because that's very very nice looking if you want cold weather into January and February. So let's look at the precipitation based on that, and we're looking like this. So it's dry where that block is, and once again the north and the west bit there will probably be a bit above average, a bit drier, and the east it's probably going to be a bit wetter with them strong easterly winds bringing snow showers in. The most of the country I think it'll be around average. So once again, it is quite interesting just there. Let's show you the temperatures very quickly. They're looking like this. So once again, where that blocking is, it is a little bit milder than average to the west. But once again, with that cold pool over Scandinavia, I think the winds coming in from that north or easterly direction, we're still going to be colder than average for most of the country actually. So that is a very, very nice 42-day forecast if you're looking for a cold January and February just there. That is very, very interesting just there. So we'll actually have to keep an eye on that, because that looks very nice for colder than average weather. So it's very interesting. But that's going to be it for today's first video. So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.